Don't do it. Terrible idea. If you are this kind of student, you should definitely not come to Charles Sturt University at Port Macquarie. Is that for real? No way. What the hell is this? It's raining. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Oh, that's interesting. It's free.
It's free.
No, but you mean like it's actually free?
No, it's like all free.
I've never seen that anywhere. Well, I've just arrived at Charles Sturt University in Port Macquarie, and I know I've got at least one big surprise waiting for me in this place, but maybe there are others. Don't know how today's going to unfold, so let's go and check out the campus, see what it's all about, and see if we can't figure out what makes this place tick. How good is this?
Yeah, it's awesome.
G'day, I'm Rob Malicki, and in today's episode of Choosing Your Uni, I'm at Charles Sturt University, Port Macquarie campus, and I'm trying to answer a pretty important question. At least it's important to you. Is Charles Sturt University PMQ the right uni for you? Because this is a decision that's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars and years of your life. You need to make sure that it's the right one for you. It's my first time on campus here, so I'm pretty excited to see what I find. I don't know what I'm going to find. It's part of the adventure. So let's go and check out CSU PMQ. In Australia, we're very lucky to have not only good universities in our big capital cities, but to also have an extraordinary network of fantastic regional universities. And Charles Sturt is one of those regional institutions. The institution, in the way I look at things, has actually got one of the largest campuses in the entire country because it has individual sites in places like Albury, down on the border between New South Wales and Victoria, in Dubbo, in Bathurst, here in Port Macquarie, and then study centres in places like Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. So it has this enormous footprint covering most of the state of New South Wales. And what a great opportunity if you want to actually go and join the dots between those different campuses and check them all out as part of a study experience at Charles Sturt. What else can you expect when you come and study here? Well, a very strong community environment. Not only the town of Port Macquarie itself, but here on campus. A maximum of 2,300 students are going to be studying here, and 500 of them are going to be living on campus, which means you've got this lovely integration between the university and life itself. And I just love that. Living together, studying together, that actually creates a really unique experience. Certainly compared to some of the bigger institutions and the institutions located in the major cities, you're going to have a lot less stress when you're coming and studying here in Port Macquarie. And so if you're that kind of person that you want a smaller community, you want it to be maybe a little bit easier to make friends, you want to feel like you're not constantly being stressed out by having so many people around and the hustle and bustle of the city, then I reckon a place like Port Macquarie could well be for you. So is it for everybody? No, definitely not. Some people would come to a place like Port Macquarie and just be like, it's pretty quiet. But for other people, if you're a little bit introverted, or if you really love that sense of community, you really want to get to meet other students and to feel like you're intimately involved in a community, a place like Charles Sturt could really work for you. This is of course the Port Macquarie campus, but some of the other campuses have got some real specialisations and specialties as well. And so it's really critical that when you're planning, if you're going to be coming to Charles Sturt, to look up which institution your course is taught at. This campus here, teaching subjects in the allied health disciplines, nursing, education, as well as IT is very popular here as well. But each of those different regional destinations has its own unique character. Port Macquarie, I love Port Macquarie. I came here as a kid going on family holidays. It's got beautiful beaches, it's got a tight little town centre which is lovely, and then extraordinary opportunities to go and travel out in the Australian countryside to really experience something that's uniquely Australian. But if you end up on one of the other Charles Sturt campuses, it may have a very different feel to it. So check out the detail of which subjects are taught on which campus and make your decision based on what kind of experience you're looking for. This is the kind of teaching space that you can expect to have access to. I mean, that's excluding, of course, like the practical labs like the nursing and paramedics facilities. But if you're doing one of the other disciplines and you're doing classes, one of those kind of flexible, configurable spaces that you see in many universities now, where it's basically designed so you can be doing project work in a group, you can be having an academic doing some teaching up here at the lectern. This whole space is designed to be more flexible. So this is pretty much what I'd expect to see at any uni that's moving towards the future, including, this is something I've heard about, but it's actually on, So we were talking about sustainability and how these buildings essentially configure themselves to be optimized in terms of the internal environment. So when these lights are on and they're red, essentially the building has decided that it's hotter outside than inside and the air conditioning needs to go on. When that light goes green, essentially all of these louvered windows open themselves up automatically and the temperature equalizes between inside and outside. So for an institution that's very serious about sustainability, this is just a really clever automated system to make sure that they're taking care of the environment, they're using less energy, they're making sure they're meeting that net zero goal that the institution has. So really forward-thinking technology here at the uni. Allied health is one of the big disciplines that's taught by Charles Sturt in general and certainly here at the Port Macquarie campus. And this is one of the simulation labs if you're coming here to study nursing. And you can see the equipment here is really state-of-the-art, and here if you're coming to study nursing, one of these like mannequin dolls will actually simulate everything you want to simulate. Over there in the control room, you're going to have like the teachers will make this doll do something, vomit, start bleeding. I don't know. I couldn't do that job. Respect to you if you work in the allied health and if you're a nurse. But if you really want to learn this stuff, this is the best way to come and do it. It's like get hands-on experience in a really safe, controlled environment. This is the other side. This is the control room of the nursing lab in there. And talk about real-world experience. You know, you're in there doing your prac work and somebody over here is sitting thinking about your learning experience and how they can help you to learn the most in the most condensed real world amount of time. And so literally they're observing the work that you're doing and they can cue certain actions to happen so that you're learning on the run. It's absolutely awesome. Another program that's very strong here is the teacher education program, and somewhat uniquely, Charles Sturt offers a K-12, so kindergarten to year 12 education program. It's one of the only ones in the country. Normally at an Australian institution, you need to study either primary or secondary. Here, you can actually do the whole breadth of that education curriculum. The degree is structured a little bit different to many of the other education degrees that you'll find elsewhere. And instead of being a 3-year program, it's a 4-year program. And instead of doing 2 semesters per year, you actually study all 3 teaching periods. So it is a maxed out degree, but then gives you that whole range of possibility when it comes to working in teacher education later on in your career. I've just had a look inside the nursing labs as well as the paramedicine labs downstairs. And one of the things I've taken away is just how cutting edge the programs are here at Charles Sturt Port Macquarie. World-class facilities and elements that you don't find at any other institution. The setup here in the nursing lab is as good or better than anything that you'll find in any lab anywhere in Australia. And on the paramedicine side, they've got simulation ambulances as well. So the only program in Australia at time of filming where you can literally climb into a simulation ambulance and do your paramedicine stuff as well. So I think it comes back to that thing you've heard me say during this video, which is this university is really focused on making sure that you are ready for your career and ready for a job. This is the rec room. And one of those unfortunate things when you come and visit a campus and it's outside of semester time, this is a nice little space where I imagine during term time you'd have heaps of students in here just chilling out, making use of the billiard table. Looks like video games over there, kitchenette. This is exactly what you expect from like a community-based campus where you've got a lot of people that are spending time on campus, quite intimate little environment. Yeah, cool. Next time I have to visit sometime when there are students here so I can actually see it active and live.
Accessible areas. Let's go have a look at the accommodation.
One of the ensuite rooms in the on-campus student accommodation. I'll tell you what, for student accommodation, this is pretty nice. There you go, you get your full little ensuite. So at time of filming, this is going to be costing you around about $300 to $320 a week, which compared to Sydney, I must say, is an utter bargain. Sydney add a big chunk on top of that. And what's awesome about that is that it's all inclusive, not including your meals of course, but all inclusive when it comes to things like your power, your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is included, awesome. And even your laundry is included as well. So it just takes out that element of having to think about more things, which you don't need as a student. Let's face it, you just want things to be easy. Living on campus, everything included, ensuite room. This is pretty awesome. Certainly wouldn't be complaining. Never had anything like this when I was a student. All right, so this is one of the kitchens on campus. And one of the things that I really like here is the fact that in each of these hallways, you've only got 16 rooms, but 2 kitchens. So there's only 8 people sharing each one of these student accommodation kitchens. So of course you've got a little cupboard for your food, it's got a lock on you, a share fridge. That's looking way too clean for a student dorm kitchen in a university. Well, you know, when choosing a uni, I want to try and give you authentic information. There's no bias here, there's no fudge. And I found the truth. Come have a look.
Wow.
There you go. That is a genuine student refrigerator. I'm so stoked that I found that for you. One of the other accommodation options is, of course, to share bathrooms. And I know that gives people a little bit of anxiety thinking about having to share facilities with other people. And the way this place is set up is that you've got several bathrooms and toilets on each level. So essentially there's 4 people sharing this common bathroom. So you've got one pair of people that will share a shower and essentially a toilet as well. What's really nice about the kind of all-inclusive thing here is that these get cleaned without you having to do it. That's a real plus. If you're in one of the en-suites, you do have to clean your own shower and bathroom, but here it's done for you. On the floors though, those are cleaned weekly, so the kitchens are cleaned. Once again, that kind of all-inclusive element is really nice if you don't like to clean up. Does anyone like to clean up? I certainly don't. This is one of the bedrooms for the shared dorms. You can see huge bed, like that's twice as big as the one in the ensuite. Plenty of space here. This I really love is that all of the accommodation, you have your own fridge, as well as that common fridge space as well. So you've got more than enough capacity, and that if you've got a little bit of anxiety about having to share fridge space. Okay, so you're a kind of student, you don't want to meet anybody at university. You're hoping to meet nobody. You're hoping to have no social interaction. Well then, this is definitely not the university for you, and certainly not coming to live on campus, because look at a sort of common space like this. This is in the Res Hub. This is just such an awesome place for people to come and hang out, get to really know other students on campus. But if that's not you, if you just want to be a soloist, do not come and study here. Well, what can you study here on this campus? Because Charles Sturt as a whole across all its campuses is very comprehensive and offers most of the different kinds of disciplines. But here at Port Macquarie, the main things that are taught are really in those allied health disciplines as a starting point. So things like paramedicine and nursing, even physiotherapy, psychology. And then also on the business IT side of things, the IT program here is relatively new and relatively cutting edge and doing super well. Well, let's talk about rankings for a moment, because for some people rankings are really important. And when you look at Charles Sturt University on a global stage, the institution is typically ranked in the top 1,000 institutions in the world, which effectively puts it in the top 4 to 5% of institutions in the entire world. But what's critical to consider when you look at any ranking scheme isn't just that big global picture. It's also to look into the detail of where an institution excels. And in this case, the case of Charles Sturt, the university actually is #1 in Australia when it comes to graduate employment rates. When you walk out of a Charles Sturt degree, you are 96% likely to have a job within 4 months. That compares to a national average that is somewhere around 80% depending on the year. So Charles Sturt well outperforms some of the highest ranking institutions on a global scale when it comes to the specific measure of getting a job. The other thing that's really incredible here is that students end up with higher starting salaries when you walk out of a CSU degree than out of many other programs. This has probably been one of the biggest surprises on campus for me. The uni, like many unis, has got a fantastic gym facility here, but it's actually free. I can't think of another institution I've been to where it's actually free to go and use the gym. And here you've got pretty much everything you want. I mean, we're here in the middle of the day, which is possibly a good time to come and visit. I imagine after hours it gets really busy, but a free gym for students, that's forward thinking, I love it. Maybe my hat to give away, but I'm very passionate about the outdoors and the environment. And here on campus, there's a whole habitat that's been protected. And so quite literally, if you're lucky here, you'll have koalas on campus. So this place is not for you if you don't like koalas. There you go. But one of the other things to know about the outdoor environment and Charles Sturt's relationship to the natural world is that it takes environmental sustainability incredibly seriously. And I know a lot of universities are kind of like moving down that avenue, trying to get the sustainability thing happening. But Charles Sturt has been doing it for a long time. The entire university back in 2016, that's a long time ago now, 2016 was already carbon neutral. It was the first university in Australia to be carbon neutral. So sustainability, looking after the environment isn't just talked about here, it's actually done. And all over the campus, you'll actually see things like that. There's something like 1,000 solar panels, maybe there's even more than that here on campus. Even the buildings have been designed to minimise the use of electricity. There's sustainability built into the way that the air conditioning system works, so that they're not just air conditioning huge spaces without people being in them. It's really been thought of very carefully. Car park. It's actually not a trivial issue. If you've watched lots of these uni reviews before, parking on lots of Australian universities is an utter nightmare. Here at CSU, Port Macquarie, there's actually tons of different parking. You might have to walk a little way, but you're never going to have trouble getting a parking space. Definitely a campus that has advantages for you if you drive. Public transport in Port Macquarie itself probably isn't the greatest, but the great thing about a university like this where the community is quite intimate is there are lots of people that are going on and off campus all the time, so good opportunity to get to know other students and ask them for a lift. If you're looking at getting a job after university, Charles Sturt, as we've discussed, is really awesome when it comes to graduation, starting salaries and graduate employment rates. But even more than that, when it comes to getting a job, it's not just about the degree that you've had. I say this over and over. It's also about the other experiences that you've had while you're at university. And Charles Sturt has done a really good job over decades in terms of building the profile of those other experiences. Going back at least 15 years, I was aware of the awesome international study opportunities that are available to you as a CSU student. The ability to go and do a study tour, regardless of which discipline you are taking, which is a brilliant thing on your resume. Get out of the country, go and have a study experience at another institution or as part of a study tour somewhere else in the world. Employers absolutely love that. On top of that, in fact, almost all of the Charles Sturt degrees have got practical components built in where you're getting real world experience with employers. And the other thing that I absolutely love, which the university is doing a pretty good job at, are leadership opportunities, leadership programs. There are clubs and societies here on campus and on every CSU campus. That's an opportunity for you not only to meet your peers, but to also get some experience potentially in running a club or society. And then some of the university's formal leadership development programs are available too. There's one specifically for women, and there are other leadership programs that you should really consider doing if you're going to come and study at CSU. Hey, great showing you around Charles Sturt University's Port Macquarie campus. Everything you need to know about Charles Sturt Uni in that playlist up above. See you next time when choosing uni. I'm Rob Licky. Have a great day.